Chinese guy playing the sitar.
Greetings and Salam Malaysia Madani. Welcome to On the Table. We are broadcasting on RTM Click and MyTV Berita RTM channel 123, which is also live streaming on YouTube. I'm Mohana Priya. Our guest in the studio today is a true pioneer in marine science and conservation, someone whose work has bridged science, policy and community action. She is the director of the Centre for Marine and Coastal Studies, or CMAX, at University Science Malaysia, and a trailblazer in empowering coastal communities through innovative projects like oyster and giant clam cultivation. In the studio today is Professor Datuk Dr. Eileen Tan Shao Hui. Welcome to the program, Prof.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
So, Prof, I noticed that you've always emphasized on the fact that science needs to serve the people. Your oyster and giant clam projects, for example, have had an impact on coastal communities in Malaysia. Can you tell me how that transforms lives?
Okay, thank you. I've always a believer of not keeping science in the ivory tower. It should be shared. So when I started oyster culture and also giant clam, it started decades, most probably more than three decades ago. And during that time, we have to start, science on mollusk culture at that time was very minimum. So I have to start from fundamental science to advanced science, from knowing the life cycle, the biology, what they eat, and what make them survive more, to more advanced technology like artificial spawning and creating triploids for better meat quality. And then once the development of science has matured, we have to now translate it to the community to make it useful for the community. But we cannot just transfer what we know directly from the ivory tower direct to the community, because community, judging at their education background, we have to simplify the whole process into simple steps that they can adopt and adapt. So once we have done that, and we ensure that they can continue doing it, when after the scientists holding hands, we have to ensure that they are not going back to business as usual, to become fishermen, to become odd job worker. We need them to continue what they have learned. So simplifying the technology into things that they are easy to do, and also guiding them in terms of how to take care of the environment itself.
Can you give me an example of this?
For example, once we simplify the steps of, for example, oyster farming, they know how to do it, and they are, from selling oysters, collecting from the rocks, they are now able to sell oysters in the single shell. That means the shape, the cup, that's of quality, the texture of the meat, the shape of the shell itself can actually fetch higher price. So from what their usual earning of 700 to 800 per month per household, they now have improved. Their income is now up to about averagely 5,000 per month per household, and during the good time, it can reach up to about 10,000 per month.
That's a big jump.
So there's a big jump. Yes, there is a big jump, and because of that, they will continue to do it, and they've been taught that to ensure the good quality of their product, they have to take care of the environment, for example, the mangrove.
Yes.
So now they are the steward, the caretaker of the mangrove area, not because they know so much of the environment, but they know if they are not taking care of the mangrove, they will impact their income.
Right.
So they are now the steward of the environment. So that links how science can impact the community as well as taking care of the environment at the same time.
Right. Now, Prof, as director of CMAX, you've built a strong bridge between research, education, and community action. How do you see CMAX leading the way when it comes to marine conservation and ocean literacy?
Okay, yeah, I think CMAX is currently, our focus, CMAX being the oldest marine center in the country, our core business is for the environment.
Yes.
And we have been doing sustainability science, since the beginning of CMAX, when we have been converted to a center of excellence in 1991. During that time, it's just that the word sustainability is not the buzzword yet.
That's right.
But what we are doing is everything is pertaining to sustainability. And I feel, our focus, our niche is on sustainable aquaculture.
Okay.
We don't do finfish or shrimp, but we do things, culturing organism that is in the, the bottom of the food web. For example, the plants, and also things that is consuming the plants. So we do not create more carbon footprint when we introduce science knowledge to the community or even to the policy makers. And we also emphasize a lot on how to communicate science, because communicating science is important in the sense that when you talk to laymen, you cannot speak scientific terms so much.
Correct.
When you talk, even like you talk to policymaker, it's different. I just want to give you an example. During the fish kill in Penang that happens in 2019, over 4 months, there's 2 incidents, and the fishing community is losing more than 24 millions, in each of the fish kill. As a scientist, when we go down to the ground, we want to collect more data to know what's happening, what's happening, and what's the root cause. But the fishermen, they just want to know, CMAX, can you just tell us earlier so we can prepare before it hits us? The politicians.
Is this something that can be forecasted?
Yes. That is why our science has to move towards coastal forecasting.
Yes.
And big data is important.
Right.
Politicians, they want to know dollar and cents, because it impact the economy.
Okay.
But laymen, the general public, very simple. They just want to know, can the fish be eaten during this time? So as a scientist, we need to address the interests and the needs of all these different stakeholders.
That's right.
We cannot just talk about our science, and we cannot just publish it. And because publication, yes, is important for KPIs, key performance index, but it doesn't really translate to the general mass.
Okay. Now, Prof, marine issues like this don't actually just stop at the national borders, right? How effectively, moving on to ASEAN now, how effectively do you think ASEAN countries are collaborating when it comes to challenges like overfishing, pollution, coastal degradation? How can we be better?
Well, when you're talking about ocean, ocean doesn't recognize borders. When the pollution, trash pollution, marine pollution, plastic pollution comes, doesn't need passport to cross borders from Malaysia to Thailand or to Indonesia.
That's right.
So the collaboration between the ASEAN countries is super important because we are here together to solve issues, global issues. We can use local knowledge to solve global issues, and also using the experience of global or ASEAN knowledge among other countries to incorporate into our needs, fine-tuning it to what Malaysia needs. That is why international ASEAN cooperation is important. And why is specifically ASEAN important? Because globally, yes, there's other platforms, international platforms.
Correct.
But then, most of the ASEAN countries are still developing.
That's right.
It's sometimes very difficult for us to adapt the solutions being recommended by the developed country because we are lack of resources, we are lack of technology, and of course resources in terms of talent and finances. So we have to, among the ASEAN countries, we have to work together, and how do we make best of what is there offered by the developed country, and among ourselves, how do we help each other to build the system, to build the technology, to combat the marine issues. So that is why ASEAN collaboration is important, and we learn from each other, and also, of course, we do need, in order for us to do better, we do need to have that better data sharing mechanism, because it's when we developing country, we are lack of resources, especially finances resources.
Why are we lacking in terms of resources?
Talent. We do not have enough talent in terms of not only scientists but people who understand science.
Okay.
And finances resources, because developing countries do not just focus on marine matters. They have to focus a lot of things.
That's right.
Even though Malaysia, for example, Malaysia, we claim as we are a maritime nation, but a lot of our funding doesn't go to the marine sector.
Yeah.
It goes mainly still addressing issues in the terrestrial area.
Right.
So we have to act smart, we have to act fast, and we have to work together under this ASEAN platform, because most of the ASEAN countries are facing the same issue.
Okay.
So that is why collaboration, transboundary collaboration, because we are addressing same issues like coastal degradation, pollution, and also enforcement. A lot of time enforcement. Our authority only have the authority in our area. But when it comes to cross borders, do we have a rules that agree that how do we act on that? So we have.
So do we have a collaboration going on? What kind of community-driven initiatives is possible at this point?
I feel the scientists is working very closely with policymakers.
Okay.
And of course, we do need a lot of political will in this matter to make things happen.
That's right.
But then as a scientist, we get a lot of data, and our aim is usually long term. But sadly, when we engage with decision makers, sometimes we can only solve or address short-term solutions, short-term issues, because of political interest is most probably extended to their political services, 5 years or even 4 years, 5 years. So that is the struggle that science is still trying very much to what we call science policy interface, trying to make that happen.
Okay.
It's happening, but it's just not to the level that we expect it to be yet.
Okay.
But I'm very positive. It will soon, we'll get more buy-in from all the stakeholders.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, Prof, hold that thought. We will go for a short break and then we'll continue this conversation. We'll be going for a short break and we'll speak more about the topic at hand. Don't go away.
My Card bukan sekadar kad pengenalan, tetapi medium utama yang menghubungkan rakyat dengan pelbagai perkhidmatan kerajaan dan swasta. Banyak insentif kerajaan disalurkan melalui MyCard, daripada bantuan kebajikan, kemudahan kesihatan hinggalah pelbagai program rakyat. Inilah keistimewaan yang dimiliki oleh setiap warga negara Malaysia. Sila periksa keadaan MyCard anda. Sekiranya chip rosak, hilang atau MyCard sudah uzur, segera lakukan penggantian di Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara agar hak dan kemudahan anda sentiasa terjamin. Inilah komitmen madani. Dengan dokumen identiti yang sah, moden dan diyakini, rakyat disantuni sebaiknya. MyCard, identiti anda, kebanggaan negara.
Welcome back. We're speaking to Professor Dr. Eileen Tan from the Centre for Marine and Coastal Studies on Oceans Without Borders, Safeguarding ASEAN's Blue Future. Prof, now you mentioned ASEAN and we were speaking about ASEAN. Now I want to talk about UNESCO's Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission. How can platforms like this, international platforms and bodies like this, help ASEAN nations strengthen their scientific capabilities? Now earlier you mentioned that we have a lack of resources as we are all developing countries compared to the developed nations. So let's take this further deeper. How can we make sure there is collaboration, and what kind of collaboration is possible at this point?
Okay, Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission, in short we call IOC, which is under UNESCO, is actually preparing a very good platform for both developed country and developing country like us, or even underdeveloped countries. Because it has a platform for capacity building, it has a platform for technology sharing, and it has a platform for interchange of knowledge.
Knowledge transfer.
Yes, knowledge transfer. And under this platform, under this UNESCO, they have actually started an initiative.
Okay.
They call it United Nations Decade of Ocean Science, which is being monitored by UNESCO IOC.
Okay.
This UN Decade of Ocean Science, which starts from 2021, supposedly to 2030. So we are already in 2025, halfway there. So under this, you have a tagline, leaving no one behind.
Okay.
So this UN Decade of Ocean Science has prepared a lot of working groups, engagement, for ASEAN countries to be engaged, to be part of the working group of experts. And also they have various training workshops.
Okay.
There's open, especially dedicated for developing countries, which we should, tap into it.
Yes.
When there is opportunity, we should tap into it. We should, by all means, send in our younger generation to be groomed, to learn. And then also they are now looking into, they understand under this broader umbrella, they understand in terms of constraint of finances. So they are coming in offering things like affordable technology, affordable and adaptable technology and approaches, and they are guiding us in terms of best practices to do science, to do coastal prediction. They are using sensors, which we most probably have not even started.
Okay.
So those are all the opportunities that we can benefit from this bigger platform.
Okay, and leverage on.
Yes.
Now, Prof, just to extrapolate that back to ASEAN, so the Coral Triangle, which is also known as the Amazon of the seas, I understand,
Yes.
is one of our richest ecosystems, and yet it is also one of the most heavily threatened. What urgent steps can ASEAN do in terms of protecting this region from the effects of climate change, particularly?
Well, many times when question raised on Coral Triangle, is the biodiversity hotspot.
Yes.
I always question, in any platform that I'm in, I will take the opportunity to ask, it's a biodiversity hotspot, but, in comparison, if you claim you're a rich person, I'm sure you know how much you have in your bank. But the ASEAN country, when we claim that this Coral Triangle is located in our area, and it's a major biodiversity hotspot for marine organism, but we do not know the number of species we have.
Okay.
So that we do need to strengthen our fundamental science, go down to the ground and look at what species we have. Because if not, we do not know whether is it the native species, is it endemic, or is it endangered, or is it invasive, or is it introduced species? Those are all very fundamental.
Okay.
I feel, as a scientist, even from Malaysia or from the other ASEAN country, we should collaborate and we should understand what is there. And then, we might not be rich economically, but we are rich in our natural resources. So that is our strength. And how do we work together is, of course, sharing knowledge. We need to talk about science, not just in a scientific platform. We should narrate our science to everyday conversation, so to allow even the general public to understand, because we need everyone to work together, whether it's in Malaysia or it's in the ASEAN country. We need to have everybody talking about science and to contribute.
That's right.
A lot of pollution is man-made. If we don't talk about the issue, things will continue. It will continue to be an issue without any intervention. Education is important. Ocean literacy is important here. So I think also capacity building.
Yes.
Ocean literacy in terms of how we communicate our science.
Okay. And now that with Timor-Leste coming into the fold, I think this changes a bit in terms of our depth of knowledge is
Yes.
we really need to improve on this as well. So when we have countries like Timor-Leste coming in, what kind of policy actions would you urge countries to adopt to ensure that we have healthy oceans and resilient coastal communities?
Well, I would urge at least we should have a data sharing mechanism that, because at the moment, as a scientist, I feel a lot of time we cannot open ourselves for collaboration because of the constraint in terms of data sharing.
Okay.
So because our country, Malaysia, or even basically in most ASEAN countries, we're still debating on data sharing.
Why? Is there a privacy issue here, or everyone's protective over their own
Yes,
data?
everybody is protective over what is yours and what is mine. That's all. And of course we have historical experience. The experience that a lot of things that been our data, been misused elsewhere.
Right.
So that's why our ASEAN countries are very concerned about data sharing.
Yeah.
But of course, if we have a mechanism to protect our own interests before we share the data, then it will be good.
That's right.
Currently, it's still in the pipeline. We have not gotten a good mechanism yet to allow the scientists to share data openly. So because big data is very important, because when it comes to prediction, coastal prediction, if we do not share our data, the developed country cannot assist us in terms of coastal prediction or even ocean prediction, because these are all modeling, these are all using AI.
Wow.
They need data to make it more accurate and more reliable.
I'm just curious, Prof, has AI already come into all of this in terms of data modeling and data
Yes,
prediction?
AI has already comes into the science platform.
Right.
Everybody is talking about AI and technology, but we are still trailing behind, I would say. We're
So
still
there's
trailing
lots of
behind.
room for improvement.
Yes, but I'm sure, I believe the younger generation, I'm from the dinosaur age, the younger generation, they are quicker in adopting and accepting it and applying the AI technologies.
So does that mean we need more scientists who are AI savvy, tech savvy, or do we need more tech people who understand science?
I feel it has. For me personally, I would feel we need more tech people who understand science, because they will know how to do programming. They will know how to do modeling.
Yes.
But then they need to understand the science on what data to use to fit into their model.
That's right.
So they for a scientist to learn to do modeling, it might take ages.
Yeah.
But for them, it's already in their fingertips. It's just that they need to get the correct data and also the understanding of the science to put the data to use it in the correct manner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Prof, you've inspired so many young scientists over the course of your career, and especially when it comes to women in STEM. What advice would you give to the next generation?
Well, this is very sensitive, To me, I usually advise, it doesn't, to me, I urge the young scientists or even all scientists to stay committed, to stay compassionate, and to stay true to what we believe in.
Okay.
That is the core business. That's the core attribute that we need to have within us. And of course, building trust with your partners, be your partners, community, or the politician, or even the academics, among our fellow academics. It has to build the trust.
Okay.
Once you have gotten the trust, your credibility can be moved easier. And of course, to the women scientists, I would encourage them to stay strong, to be more courageous.
Is it more difficult
No.
to be a woman in STEM?
This has been posed to me many times, in my career. People ask me, why do you do marine science as a woman? I always answer, it's not a choice. It's during my time, 30 years or 35 years ago.
Yes.
It's like take it or leave it. You just need to groom ourselves to master it. So it can be challenging. It can be. If you do not have compassion for it, you do not want to learn new things. Of course, you always say this doesn't fit me. You move on. You never be good in anything.
That's right.
So you just have to be committed and create the passion on new things to learn new things.
Prof, I'd like to take this opportunity. We've got 2 minutes left, but I have to mention this. I need to congratulate you, and we'd like to congratulate you because you were recently recognized by UNESCO and awarded the Anton Brun Medal for your contributions to marine conservation. Now, this is the highest international recognition when it comes to ocean sciences. What does this award mean to you personally?
Well, it is a great honor, to achieve that. And I always believe this achievement is not a journey that I walk alone. It is a journey that I walk with many people.
Yes. And this is very impactful when it comes to young people in science, when it comes to people in the community. And I think you've been a very inspiring beacon when it comes to scientists all over the world, especially with the work that you've done. And any final words, Prof?
Well, in anything we do, the journey, we are not being promised a journey full of bed of roses,
Yes.
There's up and downs. Just be strong. If you believe what you're doing is right, stay true to your heart. Every time when I go, when I face anything, every time I wake up, I always have this, been energized, because I believe these are just small setbacks along the journey. Things will happen to what we want to if we are doing things correct, and we are doing the right things, and we are doing things from the heart.
Prof. Eileen, thank you so much for your time today and for sharing your wonderful insights over your decades of work when it comes to marine science and ocean conservation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sorry.
And that concludes this episode of On the Table. Now, we've been speaking to Professor Dato' Dr. Eileen Tan Shao Hui, Director of the Center for Marine and Coastal Studies, CMAX of USM, discussing ASEAN's blue future. Now, a repeat of this episode is available on Berita RTM YouTube channel. I'm Mona Priya. Thanks for watching.